guys, if you don't know me, my name is Michelle Vinekerv, and I am the blogger behind the blog series called The World of Autism. So I've been having a guest interview series on the blog because it allows other individuals with autism, professionals, parents, siblings, educators, to all come on and share about their experiences in terms about with autism. So I have my guest here who is a self-advocate herself named Sue. How you doing, Sue?
Good. How are you?
Good. So we're going to start off here by you with sharing your experiences growing up with autism. Like, when were you diagnosed? What you've gone through?
Well, I flew under the radar for a long time. I actually wasn't diagnosed until 2014 when I was just shy of my 31st birthday. And I was also diagnosed with ADHD at 25. And then I also have OCD and anxiety. But early on, I definitely displayed a lot of the ADHD traits as young as preschool. Long story short, I went to a psychologist, but he kind of dropped the ball and I never had any assessment or anything. And then it wasn't until I took the bull by the horns myself and said, I really got to investigate this. And then when I was 26, I learned that I was also autistic, but by stumbling upon blogs, doing a lot of research, and then the light bulb went off and I'm like, I think I'm onto something here. But from when I was little on, I definitely knew I was different. While I have always been a social butterfly, it was the way I interacted with the other kids that maybe was a little bit different. I remember trying to laugh along with them and then I would just kind of get the weird looks. And I've always been very talkative. I love people. I love talking to people, but sometimes I just wasn't on the same page as them. So there was always maybe a little bit of a disconnect. And I definitely didn't experience a lot of things the same way as my peers. I never went through the whole teenage phase, I guess you could say. I never suddenly was worried about my appearance or worried about what others thought of me, or I never was worried about fitting in or anything like that. I've always been just happy being myself. And I've always just been true to myself, and I've never been swayed by peer pressure or anything like that.
That's awesome to hear that. That is something that, what a lot of people just want to be like that. That they want to be able to just to express themselves. And I don't know if you've heard this term. I've heard this from a lot of other people who live with autism, the term called masking. Have you heard of that before?
I have, and to be honest, that's something I've never really done because I've only known how to be myself. I'm very transparent, and I really wouldn't know how to try to be someone else or to try to mask. I basically, with me, what you see is what you get, and I know how to be one person, and that's myself.
That's awesome. That is really cool. I could definitely relate to you about that. I was always a bubbly kind of person myself growing up and everything. When it came to school, I was always just happy to be in school, learning and everything, getting to be with friends and stuff. There were little ticks here and there, but not really that. It didn't really affect me much. And I didn't really have too many experiences with bullying or anything like that. I don't know about you, but it was good fortunate to have good friends and everything, and having a good support system. And I think just from you saying of being yourself, that's amazing, Sue, to hear that, and how much you are truly happy about being yourself and enjoying what you do. I know you were telling when you shared your bio and everything, you said that about how you're into with video games and with Sonic and everything.
Yeah, Sonic is my thing. I don't want to go so far as to say I was bullied. I was definitely teased when I was say middle school about being a Sonic fan. The other girls were head over heels over boys and stuff like that. And kids thought it was weird that I didn't care about that stuff and I just was happy playing Sonic. And they would tease me and that, but I didn't let it get to me. I just was whatever. I'm not going to stop being me just to make them happy.
Yeah, exactly. It's the point that just like don't, it's not always about what other people think. You just do your
Mhm.
thing and that's it. That is pretty
Yeah.
from there. But yeah, that exactly. So another thing I wanted to ask you, because I know you were telling me before that you work, you are one hard worker. You work like so many
Thank you.
jobs. So I know one, your main one, as a behavior, a management coordinator, is that one
Yes.
that you do? So can you tell more
Mhm.
about with that and like what else you do?
Well, for that position, that's full time, and that's with an agency that I've worked with. I've actually been with the agency for it'll be 15 years in January. I work relief at one of their supervised departments as well. But for the behavior management coordinator position, I'm responsible for making sure the staff adhere to the behavior plan. I'm also responsible for making sure, like, if somebody has a medication, any psych meds need a consent. So I have to make sure that the person has consent from their guardian, a written consent. And then we also have a committee that we go through called behavior management or behavior BRC, Behavior Rights Committee. I'm sorry.
That's
And
okay.
any medications or interventions or whatnot have to be approved through that. Like, we can't just say, okay, give this person the PRN, or okay, we can do this restraint or restriction. Like, anything that could be looked at as a restriction has to be approved by the BRC in order to be put into place. So it's a really good system, and I absolutely love it. And I have a caseload of about 10 houses, and not every single person at each house has a behavior plan, but for those who do, I make sure that, like I said, the staff are adhering to their behavior plan. And I come in with any suggestions or anything I can think of, any solutions, like, say, if somebody's having maladaptive behavior.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much, in a nutshell, what I do.
Oh, that is awesome. Like you pretty much, it's pretty much like you could kind of, you can pretty much from like based on your experiences growing up and everything, that you're able to provide like any suggestions to any of the therapists that are working hands on with their with the clients and everything, and also like for you just to get to see like all the kids yourself too. I'm sure that,
Mhm.
so like I don't know about you, like I know with me, like I work as a paraprofessional for
Mhm.
high school students living with autism. I work in a self-contained classroom and stuff, and I work hands-on with the kids that either do like have behavior intervention plans or not, and it's like, you know, it's just, I don't know about you, but for me, like working as a team, that's like the key to like for any child to do well and to progress.
Definitely. And for this position, it's actually with adults with various developmental disabilities. But one of my other jobs, the autism agency I work for, I started in their after school program. And once I became full time at the first job, I had to drop the after school because the hours coincided. But I still continue to work respite with a couple of the kiddos from there. And then I pick up relief in their group homes. So I've been with that agency. On the first, it was 4 years. And then my third job is at a mental health agency at a group home. I do relief there. I just do Friday overnights, and I pick up here and there when they need me. But I was full time at that agency for several years as well. I've been working for them for 12 years. So I've been at my agencies for quite a while now, and I really like it at all of them.
That's awesome. That is really good to hear that. And like just for you, like to be able to maintain your jobs, that is not like it's not the easiest to like I know for a lot of people with autism, like employment is such a struggle because of just getting to like go through like with applying for jobs, the interview process, especially the interview process, and then deciding if to disclose about about with their disability with living with autism or not. Um, would you mind if you could share your experiences a little bit about like what you think you're like how you can contribute to your success? in terms of maintaining your jobs today? Because I could tell you love your what you do so much, and it's
You know,
awesome.
I think it's the passion that drives me, that and just being a self-advocate. It's like here I'm working with people who are going through similar experiences to those I'm going through or have gone through, and I just want to advocate for them, and I want to encourage them to advocate for themselves as well. And it's like I can kind of see where they're coming from and understand what they're going through. And as far as when you said about the interview process, I that kind of sparked a thought. The one thing that I struggle with interviews is open-ended questions. Like I can answer yes or no questions, anything with facts, but those questions that are like, tell me about a time when, those are the ones that really trip me up. But I guess I must still do well at them in order to have gotten the 3 jobs. But I'm trying to think of what else now, where I was going with this. But yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that, but I just wanted to interject that.
Right, that's understandable. And I don't know about you, but with me, I remember like with my interview processes, like for applying with jobs, is that like if a question sounded wordy, like if
Mm,
the interviewer asked a question and it didn't come out as the way that like like how they interpret it might be different to you. Like
yeah,
you and I think, right? So
yeah,
definitely the wordiness, and I agree with you. The open-ended questions sometimes, or like the situational questions here and there, like kind of
yeah,
kind of throw off a bit, like just to like remember, like trying to remember like all the experiences. Like, wait a minute.
yeah. I just remembered now where I was going with this. You said something about disclosure. That's what I was going to touch on next.
Yeah,
All of my jobs I'm openly autistic at, so they're all my coworkers are aware. At most of them, like I'm really open with the people with whom I work with as well. I know like some agencies encourage you to disclose things about yourself to others and other agencies don't. So for the agencies I've worked for where they don't really want you to tell too much about yourself to the people, then I just kind of have to, as much as I want to tell them, I really can't. But at the agencies where it's definitely looked at as an asset, like at the autism agency, I started as a member of their autism group, which I actually just went to tonight. And I was so impressed with the agency. I'm like, I want to try to pursue employment here. So I got in as a DSP and it's been amazing. And then at the agency I work full time for, I'm very open with everybody as well. And I've received nothing but like good reception from other people. Like nobody's ever treated me differently when they found out when I've told them. And it's just kind of like, oh, okay, that's just one thing about you that is a big part of who you are. And you're still you. And they just, yeah, they treat me the same way. And I just feel accepted.
that's awesome. That is really awesome to hear that. And I feel like a lot more like jobs, like companies and everything, they should start learning to be more accepting because it is part of like who we are and stuff. And I know there was actually yesterday. I don't know if you know that I am one of the panelists for a webinar series called Ask an Autistic.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a discussion yesterday in terms about with if for parents like this providing disclosure about the child's disability to them, to their own child and stuff. Like now I'm wondering for you, like, because you found out so much later on and so much later on, like into your adulthood about with living with autism. I wonder now about like, have you ever thought about like that you wanted to know earlier, or like, are you like, and like when you found out and everything, that make you feel more relieved and stuff because you learned that's part of who you are?
It was definitely validating. It's like to know that, okay, I know this, and this about myself. I'm putting 2 and 2 together. And just to know that I hit the nail on the head for both the ADHD and the autism diagnosis. I'm like, yes, I figured this out and it explains a lot. And I also kind of go back and forth between, well, if I had known this earlier, maybe I could have gotten more help and whatnot, and maybe it would have made things easier. But on the other side of the token, or the other side of the coin, I have strong faith in that everything happens for a reason. So I think that I was diagnosed exactly when I was meant to be, and everything falls into place because it's meant to be.
That's awesome. And I really like that a lot. I appreciate that because like, you know, I believe that a lot myself too. Like things really do happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
A little personally of my own experiences a bit for the audience to know that like for me growing up with autism that I had a lot more struggles when I was younger that I needed early intervention services such as ABA therapy, occupational, speech language, physical therapy, everything, all the kinds of therapies that you can name of. I had early intervention services 7 days a week, and this was when I was living in Brooklyn, New York. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I've been growing up in New Jersey since I moved in back when I was 3 years old. And one of the things for me was communication. So I was completely nonverbal all the way till I said my first word at the age of 6 years old. So, um, you know, development is different for everybody at
It really is.
different ages and stuff. Just for people to know that they're based on someone's personality. I know with Sue, and I could definitely say with myself that like we both like enjoy what we're at today, who we are and everything. And like I know how much with Sue that you love doing what you do. You truly are a self advocate, and thank you for all that you do for the community. So, to wrap this up, that I wanted, and I usually ask this for every guest that I have for my blog, is that what advice would you give to for families, to professionals for that are with the children with autism? What is your advice, Rose?
Oh, did it freeze?
Yeah, it did a little bit. It's okay.
Oh. So what I was saying was my advice would be to embrace the person for who they are, because we are all created to be who we are for a reason. The world needs neurodiversity. The world needs all different types of people, and we're not broken, so we don't need to be fixed. But rather embrace the person for who they are, help them to break down barriers while capitalizing on their strengths, and just celebrate them for who they are.
That is awesome. That is really awesome to hear that. Definitely to celebrate who the individual is for them. Don't define them by their disability. Define them as the person themselves. Absolutely.
Exactly. And there's one other thing too that I wanted to touch on. About a lot of people feel that person first language is what's preferred, but in the autistic community, many of us prefer identity first language, because to say a person with autism makes it sound like it's just an accessory I can pick up and carry with me, or it's
Mhm.
something that needs to be separated from my personhood. And it almost gives it a negative connotation. Whereas if you say I'm autistic, it does define who you are to some degree, because it's a big part of who you are. It's your operating system. So I definitely refer to myself as autistic.
That's awesome. That is a good point to put that out there. That is.
Thank you.
Really true. Thank you so much, Sue. And also to the audience here that you could check out Sue in the book This is Autism, and with all the other panelists and self advocates that are featured in the book. Sue, thank you so much for coming on to share your story.
You're welcome.